What is happening, people? In this video we're working on the YJ there in the driveway. We are putting the finishing touches on it. We're putting bump stops that are adjustable on the front axle. Oh. So as you can imagine, they do not make a bump stop kit for the YJ with the axle pushed 6 inches forward, because who would do that? I said 6 inches, but it's only 4 inches. Us guys exaggerate, right? I want to make sure that we can maximize the amount of up travel we have in the front of the YJ and have the tire not hit the fender, because once it gets in the fender, it starts rubbing, there's more friction on everything. You know, you could even break stuff doing that. So we need to put some bump stops in the front. Most people just get to extend their current bump stops, but for the YJ, we don't have anything in the front right now. And I'm pretty confident it has enough articulation to touch the fender now. So what I'm going to do is get the frame exposed, that bare metal, and then I bought a kind of a DIY adjustable bump stop kit that's actually for a full-size Chevy. These are sold by DIY4X, a company I used to use a lot when I was building full-size Chevys. And we're gonna see if we can get them to work on a YJ now. The key part for me is that they're adjustable. There are not a lot of adjustable kits out there. Usually you just extend a bump stop, like I said, or it's something fixed. I wanna be able to like dial it in, and if it's getting too close to the fenders, extend it a little bit, and do the opposite if it's got a lot of room. One cool thing about that also is that we can run a different size tire or different size back spacing and adjust it there. So who knows, if we do a 1-ton swap someday and go to 40s, 42s, whatever, we can use the same bump stops as long as the axle is in the current location. So I already flexed it out the other day in the driveway like all good white trash people do, and I got it pretty close, and now I have an idea of how far it needs to be away from the axle. And then when we go off-road it for our first time in this configuration, that's when I'll start to dial it in and move it up and down. So let me show you what these bump stop brackets look like. So my kiddo decided to spray some water in the garage the other day, hence we've got some rust on this exposed metal. But you would put this piece, you'd put this piece in the middle, and then you kind of just line up the holes with wherever you need it to be. Now I've paired this up with a 4.5-inch Daystar bump stop. We just move this up or down depending on where it needs to be. Now one of the issues with this is the Chevy frames are really thick, like they go down, you know, I don't know, 6 inches or something. So this is pretty big. The YJ frame is only like this long. So this is gonna get mounted at the top, and then I think what I'm gonna do is just chop off the bottom so this could be exposed. If this isn't hitting right, or you know, even if it needs to go up, we can turn the bump stop sideways like this, and then it can go up, down, whatever. Ton of adjustability. I mean, if you use those top holes versus the bottom ones, I mean, it's probably like 8 inches of adjustability. So we have a lot there. We need to expose the frame, get these cut, and then we're gonna tack them on and just see how they look and make sure everything works right. Then we'll weld them up. All right, here's one of the bump stop assemblies put together, and then this is what we're looking at on this side. So we do have one issue with this bracket where we notched out the frame, and then the other part is this brake line that I'm going to reroute later, but I think it's gonna go right over where I need this to be. Whoops, hard to do this with one hand. I'm thinking we're gonna mount it up something like that, because this axle is gonna move forward a little bit, and then this bump stop, I'm actually gonna rotate it 90 degrees, so it's kind of like side to side, and then I'm thinking it will look like that. That's the goal. But you can see these bottom parts just hang way off, so there's no reason to have that much on there. We're gonna cut that off. Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll just put it in line with level with the frame and have it come down, and it's probably gonna hit that gusset. We might even have to do a different bump stop later on, like just get a shorter one. All right, got them mocked up and now welded. So we just welded them on the top side there and then on the insides. And you can see it's just a little bit forward of the axle, and it's actually pointed a little bit forward of it too. On the other side, we had that brake line to deal with, so that was kind of a pain, but yeah, looks like it's gonna work out well. So we've got this bracket in there just to hold the spacing. It's actually on upside down. You can see the bolt hole on the top there. So we're gonna let this cool down. We're going to rotate it around and then we'll figure out our length. I've measured from the bottom of the frame. The axle needs to be about 6 inches away, which will put our tire about 1 inch away for now. So we'll have a little bit of margin of error there so we don't crush anything into the fender. And then yeah, once we get that all finished up, I'm gonna start grinding down some of the excess that's left over from the stretch. You can see that nasty stuff up there. Yeah, we'll put some more paint on here and then we're just gonna paint all this stuff on the axle. The axle's largely unpainted down here, the suspension, all that, so get her looking nice. We've got a little bit of paint on there, nothing too serious. We just put that Rust-Oleum semi-gloss black on everything. Got to touch up the diff at one point, but so she looks like mounted up. So this is where we're starting with the bump stop location. So you can see this bump stop is actually skinny enough to fit in between there, so we can go up about 3 inches, maybe 2.5, and then we can go down a lot. Kind of just guessing right now. I'm playing it safe and gonna have it stop a little bit early, I think, and then the goal is really to get it to be like a 1/4 inch from the fender. And then once the tire's that close, we'll set the bump stop. So we just got to take out those 4 bolts, move it down or up or whatever, and then we can actually change it in 1/2 inch increments. So we can swap it around 180 degrees and then it's only a 1/2 inch difference instead of 1 inch. You just keep it in this orientation. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Very old school setup. This is definitely something you'd see like back in the 80s. I feel like just all this leaf springs, old school shocks, spring under. I love it. That's the whole theme for this build, is old school. Simple and it works. Shot of the other side with all the steering painted too. And that's why I love the Rust-Oleum semi-gloss black, because it's not super flat and it's not super glossy, so you can do those touch-ups and the paint's pretty cheap. All right, so we're gonna throw the tires back on. Next thing we need to do is flex this out. I don't know when we're gonna get to that, but I'll at least show you some footage of when I flexed it out before. Check it out. Oh my gosh, anyone else having allergies? I am just dying over here, blowing my nose every 5 seconds. But it is a beautiful day, perfect weather to be working on something in the driveway. In just a couple months here, it's gonna be unbearable in the driveway, like battling heat stroke the whole time, but very thankful for this day, and at least half the Jeep was in the shade. Well guys, that's about it. We are gonna button up the rest of the stuff for the Jeep and she's ready. I think I might change out the diff fluid, but that's pretty much it. Then we're gonna head to our local off-road park at Prairie City and we're gonna try her out and see how the gain in wheelbase, the flexible suspension, and the bump stops are doing for us. And then we're gonna hit some trail runs. First one is Molina Ghost Run down at Hollister. It's coming up, it's only a few weeks away at the time of recording this. So thanks for checking out this video. If you have any questions, definitely put them down in the comments. If you wanna check out the parts I use, look in the description. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.